Hey everybody, how's it going today? Today is going to be basically a rant. Wasn't sure if I should make this video or not, and I actually waited a few days before I decided to do it. So it's going to be story time, and if you read the title, it's going to be about inspections and motorcycle regulations and stupidity, as far as I'm concerned. So a while back, I bought a 1988 883 Sportster from a friend of mine. He had been living in Ontario, and that's when he bought the bike. He ended up moving back to Saskatchewan. Now, with our laws, if a vehicle comes from another province, it needs a mechanical inspection because apparently when it crosses that invisible border, it automatically becomes unsafe. And the experts have to look at it. But that's what happened. So he had taken it in at one point to get it inspected, and they had failed it. He took it to the local dealer, and it probably did need to be failed. It had a lot of problems. And I bought the bike cheap, and I got the inspection sheet to see exactly what was wrong with the bike to begin with. And I looked at it and I thought, well, this doesn't seem too difficult. It doesn't look like it'll be too expensive. I shouldn't have a problem. And I'll have a nice little bike to just boot around on, kind of a bar hopper type thing. So I got the bike. I spent probably the last, I don't know, two and a half months working on it. I'd posted some videos. Some of you maybe have saw some of them. But I was trying to get it ready because I wanted to get it re-inspected and get it back on the road, because when I did take it out just for little test drives, I actually liked it. I had a lot of fun on it, actually. So this past Monday I had another inspection booked, and I said to a friend of mine before I even left that day, I said, I have a feeling it's not going to pass. And he said, why? And I said, well, because I think they're just going to find something wrong with it. I just think they'll be picky and find something. And he said, oh, well, don't worry about it. So I went out to the local dealer where the first inspection was done, and they took the bike around back. They had it for about an hour, and then they came out and they said, your bike didn't pass. And even though I knew that was probably going to happen, I was still just like, I immediately got annoyed to start with. And so I asked, well, language might get a little rough here, but I asked, what the fuck is wrong with it? And they said, well, for one thing, the taillight didn't pass. And I said, how can the taillight not pass? It's brand new. It works. There's nothing wrong with it. He said, yeah, but the lens isn't big enough for it. The lens isn't big enough? I said, well, how big does the lens have to be? Well, he couldn't tell me that. He said, I'll get you the inspection manual and you can look it up for yourself. So now I'm really annoyed, and I say, okay, well, what else is there? Well, it needs a license plate lamp. And he says, you need another light on the back to light up the license plate so you can see it in the dark at night. And I said, okay, well, the license plate mounts like directly underneath the taillight, which is on whenever you have the key on, and it lights up the license plate just fine. And he said, yeah, but it needs to be a white light, and your taillight is red. And I was annoyed more, and it was building. And then he said, and your headlight is pointed too high. It needs to be adjusted down further, so it fails because of that. Now that is easy, but at the same time, it's a friggin' 2-minute adjustment. Anyway. But the thing that really pissed me off was, he says, well, one of your signal indicators isn't working. Now, this Sportster has, little indicator lights kind of on the dash underneath the speedometer, for your oil, your neutral, your headlight, blah, blah, blah. and it was, I think, the left indicator light isn't functioning. And he said, so that fails. And I said, well, that's funny, because I have a receipt in my pocket from the former owner who had you guys wire those up and install those lights because they weren't working before. And now you're gonna write me up for your failed work, and I have to deal with that. And well, you know, so I got mad, and to be honest with you, I created a scene, and I was cursing, and I said, this is fucking bullshit, quite frankly. And I pointed out to him a bike that was on the showroom floor. It was an older bike, but it did have a license plate on it that it had been registered in Saskatchewan in the past several years, I think. And I said, that bike right there has the same exact taillight as my bike. So you're telling me that that bike on your showroom floor would not pass an inspection? And he said, well, technically, no, it wouldn't. But it's already been licensed in Saskatchewan, so it doesn't need an inspection, so it's fine. And then he told me, you know, well, you can just change the stuff that you need to change, bring it back, have it re-inspected, and then as soon as you leave, you can just take it off and put the other stuff back on again. Because of course I want to spend the money and the time to do that, just to take something off, spend the money to buy it, put it back on, take it out there, have them look at it, pay for another inspection, and then take it off again, throw it in the garbage, and then put my own thing back on again. Like, it was pissing me off. So he says, when you bring it back, you can just do that. I said, well, I'm not bringing it back here, because you guys are just going to tell me the same thing you just did. You're going to find something else wrong, because, oh, God forbid, maybe the signal lights aren't far apart or something like that. So I'm not bringing it back here. Just bring in my fucking bike, and that's all I want. So he brought the bike around, and we were standing out there, and of course I'm still kind of carrying on, embarrassing myself, actually, quite frankly. And I said to him, as we're both standing there, I said to him, there's not one fucking thing wrong with this fucking bike. And he goes, you know what? You're right. You're completely right. There's nothing wrong with this bike. It's completely safe. But it doesn't meet the insurance regulations. And I just got pissed off and I left. So I went home that night and I thought, I'm just gonna do a little research here. And I probably should have done it before, but I thought I'm just gonna look at some stuff and see if there's a way around this. So we have our Saskatchewan government insurance, SGI it's called, and they're basically the only game in town. There is no competition. They make the rules. You don't follow them, well, you're screwed. So I went on their website, and their website states that if you have a motorcycle that's on a public road, it needs to follow the Saskatchewan Vehicle Equipment Regulations, the law, the legislation. It has to follow that. So I started looking into that. Now, when you start looking at that, the best thing, or the best example I can use was the taillight that wasn't big enough. If you go on the Vehicle Equipment Regulations legislation, your taillight needs to be red, needs to function, and it needs to be seen from 180 degrees at all angles. So, by law, my taillight is just perfectly fine. However, when I look at the inspection manual that SGI uses, it says that, well, your light has to function, has to be red, has to be on the center line of the bike. You can only have one light, you can't have two. It has to be, or for 1996 models and newer, the light has to be 7 3/4 square inches, and for 1996 and older, it has to be OEM. It basically has to be stock. And that's why they couldn't tell me what size it was, because they didn't know offhand what size that bulbous tail light on a 1988 Sportster is. So I thought, well, so they're basically asking for more than the law. By the law, I'm fine. By them, I'm not. But they're the only game in town. So I thought that was pretty, number one, stupid and confusing. And it just seemed to be them making up their own rules. They're not even, by law, it's fine. What's the problem? So I thought I would call up SGI. I called up their office, and I talked to a safety officer, was his title. And I asked him, I said, how can SGI deviate from the legislation? How can you guys not follow legislation? And he said, well, when you're on the highway and you're driving, you're following the Saskatchewan regulations, the law. But at the time of your inspection, our inspection manual then becomes law. But as soon as you leave that inspection station, then the other regulations come into effect, and that's law. So basically he's telling me the law switches back and forth depending on what second it is, where you're standing, I don't know. And I thought that's ridiculous. It's stupid. It makes no sense. And he's telling me basically the same thing that the dealership had told me, with that, oh yeah, just put this on your bike, go in, get it inspected, and then take it off and you'll be fine. And that's what they're saying. It makes no fucking sense. But again, they're the only game in town. So I sent an email to their fair practices office. And I also CC'd the minister. The minister, for anybody who doesn't know, is basically the politician who oversees that Crown Corporation, it's called. So that was a few days ago. I haven't heard anything back from the Fair Practices office. I did hear something back from the minister's office from one of his assistants, basically just saying, thank you for bringing your concern to us. I will let the minister know, but we're going to let the Fair Practices office deal with this. So that's kind of where I'm sitting, quite frankly. Unless I restore certain parts of this bike back to original, it's not going to be plated. And I also have a sneaking suspicion that I would probably have to have the dealership do all that before they're going to pass it. So right now, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. I'm still pretty PO'd, so I don't plan on fixing a goddamn thing on this thing. But I just feel like I'm kind of getting bent over here. And I'm not even going to talk about what our insurance is talking about raising their rates to. They're already high enough. They're going to price people right out of riding pretty soon. But I just wanted to say this, and this is one of those situations where I wish I had a bigger channel, you know, because not many people from Canada watch this channel, and even less from Saskatchewan. I just wish I could raise enough of a stink to get some of this stuff changed, but who knows if it ever will. But if I ever hear back from them, if I ever come to a conclusion of this, if anybody's interested, I'll probably make another video of it, and I don't know, we'll see what happens. Right now I'm just kind of frustrated and annoyed and disappointed and disgusted, but that's really nothing new. But anyway, that's it. That's my rant for tonight. So until next time, and until I find something else out, see you later. Thanks for listening.